One happy Monday to you. How are you doing this lovely Monday? It is June 9th, 2025. Hey, yo, I am back in the US. I am actually back in the DMV. Let me hold on. Let me fix my desk, y'all. I got a standing desk. I'm still trying to ensure that I have it adjusted properly. Hey, so while I'm doing all of that, let me go ahead and do a quick intro of who I really am. All right. So I am Sybil, aka MomJonz. I am the lovely lady and face and voice behind. Check this out, y'all. Behind Mamas and Coffee, which is all about empowering women to know, be, and love who they are. I'm looking for I don't have that frame up yet, but I will be getting that frame hung on the wall here soon, sometime. So, owner of Mamas and Coffee. I am also the lovely face, voice, and energy behind Mill Spouse Conversations, where we have real conversations about life. Yes, y'all. We talk about everything, military and non. We talk about life over at Mill Spouse Conversations. And let me say this real quick so I don't forget. We do have two events happening this year in 2025. Yes, this year, 2025, that is happening in the Metro DC area. Yes, so again, like I said, like a minute ago, I am now living in the DC area again. We are a military family, hence the name Mill Spouse. But uh, again, Mill Spouse Conversations isn't about military life exclusively. We are military spouses having real conversations about life. So that's where that comes in. So, anywho, so we are having our very first main major event, the conversation in person here in the DC area. So the best thing about this is my co-host, the fabulous, amazing Miss Grace Romo, will be joining me in DC to host this event. And y'all do not want to miss it, okay? Because we're going to be talking about fear. The title of this event is Fear. But listen to me, it's about facing our fears. Face everything and rise. It's going to be a real conversation. And not only will you hear from myself and the fabulous Grace Romo, you also get to engage with us during that event. So we're not just talking at you, we want to talk with you. Okay, so that registration will be coming soon. So that event is happening in October 23rd, as a matter of fact. All right, so I told you about Mamas and Coffee. And also I told you about Mamas and Coffee and about Mill Spouse Conversations. But let me rewind for Mamas and Coffee. Mamas and Coffee. So Mill Spouse Conversations is hosting a Mamas and Coffee event for moms of high school juniors, seniors, and those grownish kids. And this event is exclusively for moms with kids in that age group. Why? Because, hey, yo, ladies, we need to get together and sit down and have a real conversation, okay? So we're going to sit down, have beverage, have some food. That's happening in September. So registration will be coming for that as well. So don't miss Mamas and Coffee, Mill Spouse Conversations. Now, my third adventure, I call all of the things that I do adventures. They're ventures, but I call them adventures because, you're taking a ride with me on my ventures. It is Stroke Talks. And Stroke Talks, my friend, is about stroke awareness. So I am a stroke survivor. I had a stroke April 17th, 2021, while we were stationed here in DC. Okay, we were stationed here in DC. We were actually at my husband's farewell party when my stroke happened. Now, most people say, Sybil, you don't look like you had a stroke. You don't look like you would even have a stroke, right? Because like you're young, you look healthy. I am. I'm young. My stroke happened. I was my early 40s, add 4 years to that. So, 4 years wiser. I'm 47, y'all. I'm 47. So it happened when I was 43. No health concerns, perfectly healthy. My stroke was due to a rare cause known as carotid webbing. So, Stroke Talks is a platform that I started to bring more awareness to that rare cause of stroke, but also to be a place for other stroke warriors and family and friends to come together and talk about their journey. Right? Because as I've told people, so I did have a severe stroke. I was in the hospital. I went through, I was in ICU, stroke unit. I did go through physical therapy, speech therapy, occupational therapy. I had the full paralysis of the left side of my face. I do still have some lack of sensation, lack of feeling to the left side of my body. But other than that, looking at me or hearing me speak, you would never know. But I tell people that the recovery journey for stroke is not always visible. There is the mental component there. So that is what Stroke Talks is all about. All right. So that's a long-winded introduction of who I am. Sybil, aka MomJonz, the owner, the face, the voice, the Energizer Bunny behind Mamas and Coffee, Meal Spouse Conversations, and Stroke Talks. All right. So that's who I am in a long-winded explanation. But today, y'all, I wanted to talk to you about exploring your city. Again, we just moved back to the DC area from Bahrain. In the last couple of weeks, like we've been back not even a month. So it'll be a month. So we originally were leaving Bahrain May 10th. That flight was canceled. So we left on the 11th. So we arrived back in DC May 12th. So May 12th, May 11th, I don't know. Anywho, we're coming up on a month of being here. But in that time frame of being here, I have taken many opportunities to just get out and explore my city. Now, I can say my new city. It's not my new city because we've been here 3 times. All right, yeah. Different stages of life. The first time we were here was 2005 to 2010. Someone's trying to come into my office. I was much younger. I had 2 of my 3 daughters here. So just a completely different phase of life. Then we returned in 2019, COVID. So that shut down a lot of opportunities of exploring. So now that we're back, I did take some days to explore. And y'all, let me tell y'all something. For anyone who is moving to the DMV, whether you live in Northern Virginia, Maryland, or in the heart of DC, don't skimp out on the metro. Because look, can I be honest with y'all? The first time I was here, 2005, 2010, I did not want to be here. I was like, I want to live in DC. Shoot. When we came back in 2019, we did go out a couple of times. We went out in DC. But I was always like, oh no, we're gonna drive. Let's drive. I don't want to catch the bus. I don't want to catch the train. Yo, me and my daughter, I drive to the metro station, park my car at the metro station, and hop my booty on the metro. Yo. And then, we're like, okay, we plan our day, get off at our stop, and we just walk the city. We tried different restaurants. And my daughter, she wanted to visit the different monuments. So we did that. We even went to a demonstration. We walked up on a demonstration and we're like, hey, I was like, hey, let's see what's going on. Take the time, folks. Just take time. Take one day, if it's just one day a month, and explore your city. There's a lot out there for you to see. Now, I know people say it all the time, and if you're in a little small town, okay, because I'm from a little small town from East Tennessee. I'm from East Tennessee, y'all. Yes, y'all. I'm from Tennessee. From Tennessee. I know a lot of times people say there's nothing to do. And regardless if you're from Tennessee, from a little country town, Tennessee, or if you're from the city, DC, or if you're, California. I've lived in San Diego. I've lived in Bahrain. I've lived in Japan. I've lived in Hawaii. I've lived in Pennsylvania. I've lived a lot of different places. And something I always hear people say, there's nothing to do. So regardless of where you live in the world, there's going to be someone, and you might be that person, who says, there's nothing to do here. It is so boring. I challenge you. Yes, y'all. I'm challenging you to get out and explore your city. Explore your town. Just go. If you don't have trains where you live, that's cool. Drive somewhere, park your car. Even if it's, y'all, before I left for Bahrain, I went to my little town in Tennessee, where I say there's nothing to do. I say it. I do. I'm like, there's nothing to do here. But there was one day I went, parked my car downtown, in my little town. I parked my car and I got out and I just walked down the street. Literally, I just walked down the street. Some of the buildings were closed. They're trying to rebuild the little town. But I just walked down the street. I looked in the windows. There were a few little shops. I looked in there. Just take a moment and explore your little town or your city, right? Because me and Grace, for Meal Spouse Conversations for the Tea, which will air live this Wednesday at 12 noon Eastern, we talked about vacations. Now, we were talking about traveling for summer vacation, right? Grace likes to travel. I like to travel. Although right now I have told people I ain't, y'all. Yes, that Tennessee coming out. I ain't traveling to see y'all because I'm tired. I'm tired. I traveled from Bahrain here, got my household goods, or got my long-term storage. Try to unpack. I'm still not unpacked because it's a hot mess, but that's a whole nother talk. But if you're unable to take a vacation, like if you don't want to travel this year, if you don't want to travel, or if you're unable to travel this year, go explore your city. Go explore your town. Go somewhere that you haven't been in your own little town or city. Seriously. Right? Like, I will be the first to tell you that my little town in East Tennessee, I'm like, man, there is nothing to do here. But that one day, because again, I remember I went down to the public library and recorded the tea down at the public library, and then I just walked down the street. I just took a stroll. Then I just drove around, rode around some old neighborhoods. So just get out, enjoy. And some of you could probably really just explore your neighborhood. Because how many of you have really gotten out and explored your neighborhood? Now, me being who I am, I have gotten out and met my neighbors. We were invited to a cookout. Like our first week here. Yeah, we went to a cookout. They were like, hey, y'all want to come over for a cookout? Yeah. I took my happy booty to Wegmans, got a fruit tart. I was like, here you go. This is what I'm contributing. I told them, I was like, I will come. Anytime you invite me, I will show up. I will bring a dish if you want. Which they were like, you don't need to bring anything. But, I couldn't show up empty-handed the first time. First go around. Now, after that, you tell me I don't need to bring anything. I'm not bringing nothing. Because, look, I'm about to go rogue for a moment. Just keep up. It's been a while since I've had coffee chat with y'all. So if you watched my coffee chats prior to 2019, y'all, you got to keep up. You got to keep up because I will. But if I have something at my house with my friends, I'm like, don't bring nothing. Just show up. I mean it. Don't bring nothing. Because if you show up at my door with something after I told you not to bring nothing, I'm not letting you in the house. You're not getting in the house. But since it was my first time going to my neighbor's house, I did show up. And then I did tell them, I was like, look, if you want me to bring something, give me something I can go buy at the store, or I will order from a restaurant. I don't cook for people. I don't. I cook for my family. But I am not trying to cook. Bring something to your house as a guest, and then everybody gets sick, and they're like, that was Sybil's dish. Not on my watch. Not on my watch. But anywho, the point being, back to the main point of this live, get out and explore your city. Take a vacation day in your city. Hey, Jennifer, girl, look, you know how I used to do back in the day with coffee chats. I would just be on here talking, all right, this is the topic for the day. Literally just pop in my mind before I go live. But yes, girl, yes, I am back. And Jennifer, can I be honest with you for a moment? Let me be honest with you. So the reason that I chose the theme fear, face everything and rise, is because I am facing some of my very own fears this year. Now, mind you, in 2021, fear, face everything and rise, was the theme for Mamas and Coffee. But I was on the other side of fear, right? I didn't really fear much. So I was ready to talk about, hey, like, let's face your fears, y'all. Like, I'm here. I'm your cheerleader. I got you. I was on the other side of that mountain, right? Like I was at the top. I had reached the other side of that mountain that I didn't fear, right? I didn't fear anything. Like, I mean, I had fears, but I wasn't like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? Where now I am on the bottom side of that mountain, trying to overcome a lot of new fears. And one of those fears that I am facing with coming here live and telling myself that, Sybil, you got to show up like you used to. It is showing up live and talking. So I am extremely self-conscious of the way I sound to people, right? So post-stroke, or when I had my stroke, I did have slurred speech. When I speak now, and people have told, they're like, Sybil, we don't hear a slur. We don't hear any delay in talking. Like, you're fine. Like, there's nothing wrong. But to me, I hear a slur, and there's often a disconnect for me. There's times that I literally like, and it's not the rambling. I've always been a rambler. It's not the rambling um, that I used to do. I literally just have there. I feel like there's a disconnect sometimes um, with my brain and my mouth, and the words just often sound jumbled to me. So I'm like, Sybil, you've got to get over yourself. Like, come on, just show up, get back talking live, do your thing. Like, do your thing. Don't worry about how you sound or about your movements, because there are oftentimes, because as I said earlier, Jennifer, um, I don't have complete feeling the left side of my body, which people are like, well, Sybil, we see you use your left hand, you walk fine, blah, blah, blah. But I don't always feel the ground when I'm walking. My foot doesn't always connect. So I do um I do a lot of mental connections, right? So if I'm holding something, I do a lot of eye checks, like visible eye checks, like, Sybil, come on, you have something in your hand. You may not feel it, but it's there. Don't drop it. Like, you're good. You got it. So the theme fears for this year, I was like, okay, we're going to talk about fear, facing everything and rising. But I have more of a story to share about overcoming some of my fears. And if you watched last week's episode of the T at MillSpouse Conversations, we were talking about the fear of success versus the fear of failure. And I had a realization, as well as I was preparing for that live, that I have a fear of success. Did y'all hear my stomach? I have a fear of success. And I'm like, Sybil, come on. What is your problem? Like, get your life together. Like, get it together. Just get it together. And part of me facing those two fears, and there's other fears, it is showing up. Like, Sybil, you got to show up. And going back to pre-stroke days, I showed up here for me. I didn't think about what someone else had to say about what I did, what I looked like, how I sounded, or what I talked about. I came here and did a live every morning in my pajamas with my headscarf. Sometimes slob is still on my face, eye boogers, right? Because I would literally wake up, roll over, let's do this. I did it because I enjoyed it. So I'm like, Sybil, you've got to show up again because you want to, because it brings you joy. Find, like, one of my struggles as well post stroke is recognizing and finding things that bring me joy and not worrying about anyone else. Right? Like, when it comes to business with the success, I'm like, well, especially with MillSpouse Conversations, I'm like, MillSpouse Conversations is about life topics. It's not just about military life. But I'm like, oh, but other people want me to talk about this or that, or I should present a certain way because, and I'm like, no, Sybil, that has never been you. In the 23 years that you've been a military spouse, you shown up as Sybil. Hey y'all, how you doing? What you doing? Right? So I'm like, that is how our show, the T, as well as our events go. We're casual. Yes, we do have structure. We will have structure for our event because we have a time frame, unlike my coffee chats. But it is the way I operate is I want people to show up and be who they are. Just be, yes, Jennifer, just be who you are. There's times y'all can see this picture behind me, which I've got to figure out how to get the window glare off of it. But this is me being Miss Diva. Right? Like I could get dressed up, but I also will show up in my t-shirt, my occasional adult t-shirt. Let me pull this down so you can see. All right, see, I'll show up in my occasional adult t-shirt. I can put on my evening gown. I can put on my business suit, whatever. But at the end of the day, and I can walk into a room, sit, be prim and proper. But at the end of the day, I'm always Sybil. This is me. This is who you get, regardless. Regardless. My poor husband, I say my poor husband because he's just like, oh Lord, Sybil, what you gonna do today? What you gonna say today? I'm like, dude, you never know, right? Girl, look, because it's true. It is true. I'm reading your other comment, Jennifer. Yes. Love you too, Jennifer. And that exactly what you said. People, when you know something is different, it can hinder you, right? No one else, because I get it. People are like, I don't see anything, Sybil. Oh, you're fine. But I'm like, no, I know there is something. Something is different. I'm not going to say anything is that it's wrong or that it's bad, but it's different. And still working through accepting those differences. And for me, Jan, I will say this. Coming back to this area, I was excited about coming back, but also a little nervous. I was excited because I'm like, you know what? These are the doctors who saved my life. So I'm like, I can go back in, get appointments with them, have them check out everything, make sure everything is good, especially with the stent that I'm supposed to have checked every 6 months. So I'm like, I can get in with them to check that out and just talk to this medical team about everything that I am dealing with versus, oh, you look good, you're fine. But that's also why I started Stroke Talks, to give a place for other stroke warriors to talk, right? Because we understand one another. But this shirt, back to this shirt, the occasional adult, because I'm like, you know what? Sometimes I revert back to 21. See, I was about to say 18. I don't want to go back to 16, but 21, because 21, you're legal. So 21, I'm 21. Well, I guess 21, you're an adult too. But 21, you still get a pass sometimes at 21. Okay, wait a minute, Jennifer. So you asked me about the car. So yes, I do need to come to Florida. I'll come to Florida. But the car, so see, what happened with the car was I told my husband, y'all, this is what my husband gets. So I moved back to the US ahead of my husband to get our Rising Senior registered for school. So she is registered, she is enrolled, and I'm glad that I did. Let me say this, Jen. I'm glad that we did, because there is a class that is a requirement for graduation that she is able to take this summer. So she will be taking this class over the summer, so she doesn't have to try to fit it into her schedule for the fall. So that worked out perfectly. She would have, like, there was just, it was stacking her schedule for the school year to, so they were like, hey, we have the class in the summer. She can take it in the summer, but it is a requirement for graduation for this county. So she got that. But the car. So because I'm here and because I had to go pick up my husband's car, I did not look for a car for myself. I had to drive his car. So I picked the car up, drove it home, and I was like, I'm not driving it. But I had a few errands to run. Then I had to go back to the dealership to sign something else. I don't know. So now he has to find himself another car because I like it. I like it. The only problem I'm going to have is the engine. I've got to watch my speed because I don't feel the speed. So I'm just driving, and then I look and it's blinking at me because I turned off all the sounds, right? Because I was like, I don't want the sounds. Like, you can blink, but it's blinking. I'm like, oh, shoot, let me slow down. Just take my foot off the gas. Now, funny enough, this car too. So we had the rental, had to take the rental back. So I had my daughter drive the new car, and I drove the rental back to the rental spot. We hopped on 95. I'm following her. And then I lost her. She was gone. So when I pulled into the rental place, she was like, yeah, I didn't even realize I was going that fast. I was like, yeah. And she is not a speeder. This is my middle daughter. You know who I'm talking about, Jen. So I was like, oh, shoot. But at that time, I had only driven the car at that time maybe once. So yeah, but I've been driving it. I actually drove it yesterday to the airport, and just to let you know, that child has arrived. Her flight has arrived, and I guess they are on their way to wherever they're staying. Now, Jen, and for anyone else watching, because this is something else that we're going to talk about. Turn the bells back on. I know. He'll be like, Sybil. But this is something that we're going to start talking about more at Mamas and Coffee, is parenting grownish kids. So I have two in college. One is a senior in the fall. One will be a sophomore in the fall. And then I have a high school senior. Now, as I said, for Mamas and Coffee event that will be happening in person in DC in September, but we're also going to do a virtual event as well. So for any moms watching this virtually, if you have older kids, especially once they graduate high school, what that looks like, what your role is as mom, and how do you balance that with providing guidance without overstepping, knowing when you need to step in. Like, it's a whole different ballgame when you're parenting those grownish kids. And then also just kind of keeping your own identity. Now, for anyone who has been a part of Mamas and Coffee, if you're in the Mamas and Coffee group, you probably have heard me talk about this many of times. And it's funny to me because I'm raising my desk up. But I think back to all the conversations I used to have with saying, hey, make sure you are practicing your self care. Make sure you're doing things for you. And I will go ahead and say that now that I'm in this new phase of where, oh, yeah, my stomach, where all of my kids are almost out the house, it's even more important to start practicing your me time before your kids get older. And really knowing what you enjoy doing. Right? Like what makes you happy, like truly happy. Because, when they're babies, you're all about the baby. Then they become toddlers. You're still around. They still want you around as teenagers, and they start having their own lives a little more. Their own friends are doing their own things, but they still need you. Then they graduate high school, whether they go off to college, join the military, go out to the work, whatever. Okay, I'm going to speak from my experience. My two of my three left for college. So I'm like, they still need me in a different capacity, but I am extremely thankful that I practiced my self-care, my me time from day one. And that I made my own friends outside of their friends, right? Because when they're little, you're friends with other moms because your kids know one another. But as they got older, or as they get older, it's a little more difficult for you to make your friends. But I will say, and Jennifer, we met in Japan many, many moons ago. And although I haven't seen Jennifer in I don't know when, since Japan, we connected on Facebook and we stay in touch. Because look, ladies, you may not see people, you've met in your life, but hey, you sometimes need someone to talk. And I say Facebook, as much as we're like, oh, people comment on your post, da da da. But do you know how happy that makes some people? And I will admit this. There have been times I've made a post on my personal Facebook page and had someone that I've met throughout my life, Jennifer, and you get a like, you get a comment, and you're like, oh, wow, thank you. Because as your kids, and this goes with your kids getting older, you start to shift into, you're not alone. I don't want to say like you're alone, because you have, like for me, I have my youngest daughter, I have my husband around, I have friends around, but you get that mom loneliness, right? Because you're like, wow, the kids are out the house, you don't see them, they're not necessarily calling you every day. My kids don't call every day. We have a family group chat. We'll, hey, how you doing? Da 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 da. But there's this mom loneliness that hits. And it's a real thing. But I am always thankful that I practiced my me time my self-care, and making my own group of people to talk to and do things with. Now, I did get a little weird about that post-stroke, but I realized that was a different my weirdness, my isolation, it was because of my stroke. But I had people in my life who was like, "Hey, Sybil, what you doing? How you doing?" Again, whether it was a Facebook message, anything. But what I'm trying to say is, mamas, mamas and coffee is going to do an in-person event and a virtual event for moms entering that phase of life, because it's confusing. It really is. There have been days that I have sat in my room or sat on the couch and been like, well, dang. What how much do you how much input do I really have? Right now, as I tell my children, until you are off payroll 100%, oh, your mama gonna have an opinion. Okay? I will have an opinion as long as you own the Jones household payroll. Now, once you off that, I will still have an opinion, but you are 100% on your own. But finding that balance of those boundaries of what you say. Like, I tell my girls, I can't tell you what you can and cannot do. Like, if you want to travel for spring break or summer, whatever it is, you don't need my permission. I just ask that you let me know where you're going. That's it. That's it. But I also noticed the conversations. Right. Yes, Jennifer. Yes. This part right here, you really do not realize until they're gone. Once because they're living their own lives, right? They have their own schedules. That was our biggest argument. Because I would be like, hey, you need to call, or you need a text, or if I call you, if we do a family, because we have a family call sometimes. Oh, well, I was busy. What were you doing? But I had to realize, I had to pause and step back and say, hey, they have their own lives. They're at school, they have studies, they have parties. That's my thing too. I tell my girls, look, I ain't boo-boo the fool. Your mama was in college too. Now, your daddy might have studied on time. Your mama was like, oh, there's a party tonight. Okay. That was me. I was partying. I graduated though. I wasn't dumb. No dummy. I enjoyed my college years. I did. But I'm gonna get off here. I'm gonna finish this smoothie and probably should go cook something for my youngest and her friends. She has friends spending the night. So she had friends here from when we were here in 2019, and they did not skip a beat. And I will say this too. And this is a direct message to moms. Yo, stay in touch with your friends, because I think about my youngest daughter and her friends. We left here, she was in sixth grade, seventh grade. What grade was she in? I don't know. But she has stayed in touch with her friends. We were in San Diego before we went to Bahrain. She did come back to this area to visit friends. They did come to San Diego to visit her. They text, they call. They were going to come to Bahrain, but we had some restrictions, so they didn't come to Bahrain. And then, but day one, the first day that we moved into the house, or I came to pick up the key, because we didn't move anything and we just came to pick up the key. One of her friends pulled up. She's like, "Hey," I looked at this child like, "I know you, but I don't know you." So, whole point being, moms, we got to do better. You got to do better. If you have a friend that you haven't talked to in a while, send her that text message, especially if your kids are grownish, because you feeling a little lonely and she feeling a little lonely. So just reach out and say, "Hey girl, how you doing?" You ain't got to talk. I've been talking for 46 minutes. You can talk to her for 5 minutes. Just do a quick check-in. That's all. All right, folks. Jennifer, yes, girl, you go shopping. I need to go in here and fix them some food because I think they finally woke up. And I am going to go look for another car. I'm going to look for a car for my, although he has sent me 2 cars that he is thinking about. And he told me I didn't need to pick it up. He was just going to have it delivered to the house for me to park it in the garage. So I guess that's his way of saying, don't drive it. And you decide you want that car. Whatever. All right, y'all have a fabulous day. And go explore your city. That was the whole point of this live. Go explore your city. Go check out a new shop. Jen's talking about she's going shopping. Go check out a new shop, girl. Go check out something new. See what else is there. Go to a park. Walk around. Explore your city.